Hi, I'm Bonnie Barker with BonnieBayCrochet.com, and today we're going to talk about to knot or not to knot. And this is concerning crochet projects and joining yarn and what to do when you have knots. Okay, before we begin, if you could go ahead and just hit that little subscribe button if you've not done that already. That way you don't miss any of the new offerings I have coming your way. Well, anyway, suppose that you are in a project and you've run out of yarn. Okay, there are two options. One option is to just go ahead and knot the yarn together. And this particular yarn that I'm using is a little bit slippery, so this is why I use this particular method. It's a very simple method. You just wrap the yarn around your fingers, and notice I'm holding the two strands together, and then just knot. Okay, now this is not difficult at all, and you can just continue on crocheting. And the reason that you can do this with crochet as opposed to knitting is that there's a lot of fabric that you can hide these knots in. Let me show you. I'm just now completing my Starburst baby blanket, which is on my YouTube channel, or soon to be. And I actually, when I was using this yarn, there was a knot right in the middle of the scan, and I came to the middle of my blanket, and I was like, oh dang, I've got to do something about this. So I don't like to have knots just anywhere, so I'm going to go ahead and clip this. And notice that I left plenty of yarn. I like to leave at least 4 to 5 inches of yarn. This is a little bit shorter than that, but I like to leave a little bit more than that. And I can even just thread both of these into the needle like so. And then I can just run this up under the double crochets. Now, there's no right or wrong way to do this. People have strong preferences, and I'm just showing you a number of ways to do this, and I'll show you why I'm using this more simplified method. Okay, you can pull the strands up under, and the yarn and the knot is completely gone. Yeah, it's going to be hidden quite well. And if I wasn't satisfied with that, I can even run under more stitches. So let me go ahead and clip that very close. That way it's hidden. Now, suppose you're working on a crochet project that doesn't have quite as much fabric to hide things under. In that case, what you may want to do is change the yarn or connect the new ball of yarn in at the edge, okay, or at the beginning and end of each row. And that way you can like crochet your border over it, or there will be extra fabric because of that, to hide these knots when you're finished. Okay, let me show you another method that's kind of cool. Now I wanted to show you how to do the magic knot, which is interesting, and it's an option for when you want to join yarn in the middle, when you're adding a new skein of yarn, or if you're changing colors. I would warn you that you don't want to use this with really slippery yarn because the knot will just slip out. I've tried it several times, and I'm just going to stay to my tried and true method where I showed you at first when it comes to the slippery yarn. But let me go ahead and show you what to do. Go ahead and bring this over like this. We're just going to tie a knot and tie it pretty tightly. Be careful, some of the yarn that you may use may actually break if you pull too tight. So you probably don't want to do this with those types of yarns, like certain types of cotton that just are a little more frail. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do this over here. Tie a knot around that strand. And now very carefully, we're going to pull these together. And I'm actually going to give them another knot. I'm going to go ahead and pull again. Okay, make sure these knots are very secure. Okay, oh, that feels really nice and tight. And now I'm going to carefully trim the yarn right there. And right like that. So you can see I can probably do that a little bit closer, but not too close, because if you trim it too close, then you're gonna lose your knot. Okay, I think that'll do it. And there you go. You have your magic knot. Another option that people like to use when they're using yarn that's not real slippery like this but is to not tie knots at all and to leave the strands hanging, and then as soon as there's enough fabric that's being crocheted, then they go ahead and weave the thread through the various stitches of the work. If there's a lot of stitches to hide the strands in, that can also be a very good method to use. But again, I would only do that if the yarn that I'm using is like wool or something that has a lot of friction when you run your stitches under. Otherwise, the will slip out. I'm not going to use that for this particular project because you see the shininess of the fiber, and it is a bit slippery, and I'm afraid that if I did that my work would actually come undone. But that is another option, is to not at all. I hope this is helpful. If it is, please hit that little bell, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. I have a lot of great videos coming your way. God bless. Bye-bye.